Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Now, as we all know, Gareth Southgate has submitted his 26-man squad for Euro 2024. Been a lot of debate and discussion online, a lot of people broadcasting their opinions. Now it's going to be my turn to broadcast my opinion. Just going to go over the squad, see if I agree with his picks and who I would have picked if I don't agree. So, without further ado, let's get started with the goalkeepers. Pretty fair. I mean, obviously Jordan Pickford's going to be number one. You know my thoughts of Pickford on this channel. I really like him as a goalkeeper. Good with either feet, a leader, good shot stopper, and I think he can do better than Everton. But we all knew he was going to be number one anyway. Aaron Ramsdale, I was a little bit unsure on. But again, he's a good character to have around the team. And when needed, he can be a good goalkeeper. And I do hope he gets a move to another Premier League team because he's being wasted at Arsenal, unfortunately. I still think he's a quality young keeper. Now, the third choice obviously would have been Nick Pope, but obviously he's been injured most of the season. And like Luke said in our video when we was picking the England teams, third choice isn't really going to get a lot of games. And he threw some good names out there. But Dean Henderson, again, got good experience in the Premier League. He's played for big teams. And he's not really going to get a lot of minutes. So overall, I agree with the goalkeepers. James Trafford was unlucky to be left out, but he did get dropped by Vincent Kompany at Burnley. And he's still a bit too young, in my opinion. I rate him highly, but he's still a bit too young and inexperienced. Like I said, Nick Pope was injured. So maybe Jack Butland is unlucky to be left out. Right, on to the defenders. Joe Gomez, I agree with. Been quietly good for Liverpool. Can play centre-back, can cover full-backs. He played a bit at left-back at Liverpool as well. So, yeah, it's good cover, considering Luke Shaw's also in the squad. But, you know, back from injury, could get injured again. Ben Chilwell, inconsistent and injury-prone. So it's just good cover all over the back line. So that's a smart pick from Southgate. Mark Gahey, I'm not really a fan of. But then again, I don't watch a lot of Crystal Palace. People say he's a good young defender. He's quite comfortable on the ball. I don't really think he should have gone, but I'm a bit surprised Tomori didn't get a look in. I've heard he's played well for AC Milan this season, but again, I don't watch the Serie A, I wouldn't know. Ezri Konsa, been really good for Villa this season. Obviously came on in a friendly against Belgium and done well, considering who he was up against. John Stones, arguably our best centre-back. He'd be the first defensive player on the team sheet for me. Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker, Lewis Dunk, like I said, maybe not, but he's reliable for Brighton. He doesn't impress me in an England top, but you never know. If he starts, we don't know. I think the starting centre-backs might be Konsa and Stones. I don't know. And then obviously Kyle Walker, is a shoe-in for right-back. 33, 34 years of age, still a solid player with a lot of pace. So it will be hard to beat down the right-hand side. On to the midfielders. Trent, yep, I'm happy with that. Now, as you know on this channel, I'm not a big fan of Trent as a defender. I've made that clear. So moving him into midfield is probably a good choice. He's been compared a lot to David Beckham with his, set piece delivery. Obviously, maybe he's not as good as Beckham, but considering we might utilise set pieces and his passing, I think that's a good midfield pick. Declan Rice and Kobbie Mainoo, I agree with. I mean, Kobbie Mainoo's been the breakout star this season. Maybe breakout star of the Euros. There's quite a few players that have been tipped for that. I don't think Mainoo's going to start. If he does, fair enough, it'll be good tournament experience for him. He can develop his game playing on the international stage. Adam Wharton, I mean, I've heard things about him. He joined Palace from Blackburn in January. I haven't really watched a lot of him, I'll be honest. But yeah, he's getting a lot of hype. We'll see. Like I said, could be a break. He's been tipped to be a breakout star. So, it could be a good tournament for him. Conor Gallagher. Now, just personally, I'm going to get killed by Chelsea fans for this. I don't rate Conor Gallagher. I don't know what he does. I think he found his level when he was at Palace, I think 2 or 3 seasons ago, and even then he had a good half a season and then fell off. But he works hard, and Southgate respects that. I'm glad Henderson and Phillips didn't get in. I was really expecting to see their names on the team sheet. Luke and Callum picked Henderson for their teams when they were picking their England squads. The reasons they gave were fair, but Henderson has been awful since leaving Liverpool. Obviously didn't rip up any trees in the Saudi League and has been part of one of Ajax's worst squads in decades. Calvin Phillips, no game time at City, and every time he came on for West Ham, he gave away a goal. So I'm glad Southgate hasn't, stuck to his guns. He's actually gone for a fresh midfield. On to the forwards. Now, he's put Bellingham and Foden as a forward. Bellingham, I think, will play in the midfield and double pivot with Rice maybe, or he'll play as the 10. Our forward line is crazy. I don't know how Southgate's going to make all these work. Jude Bellingham, I agree with, probably been one of the best players in Europe, in the world this season. Jared Bowen, bit of bias, but yeah, I think that's a good choice by Southgate. He's hard working off the ball. And when I've watched him for West Ham when we've been a bit flat, he seems to be the only person who seemed up for it. Like I said, good defensive work rate. He'll push a ball forward. He's just a good player. Again, probably a bit of bias, but, you know, I watch him week in, week out. I know what he's capable of. Eberichi Eze, I agree with. One of the standout players at Palace after Glasner took charge, him and Elise and Mateta. And for me, Eze is the Zaha replacement. You know, he's got the dribbling, he's got the flair, and England need a bit of flair. Don't know if he'll start, but he'll be a good player to bring off the bench to close a game out, or if we need that little bit of, you know, forward momentum. Phil Foden, probably top 3 Premier League players this season. Definitely one of the best English players in the Premier League this season. Really stepping his game up season after season. I don't know where he's going to play though, Phil Foden. Will he play as a 10 or on the wing? Either way, I think he'll put out some good performances. Anthony Gordon, probably one of Newcastle's best players, along with Isak this season. Maybe Bruno Guimaraes as well, but Anthony Gordon, his pace is electric. Him against Brazil, he ran them ragged. And I think with the defences we'll be coming up against in the group stage, whether he's a sub or a starter, I reckon he's just going to drive him insane with his pace. Harry Kane, don't need to say any more about Harry Kane. He's one of the best players in the world. Unfortunate not to win a trophy. It's the Harry Kane curse, isn't it? I mean, his performances in the Bundesliga, what was it, 41, 42 goals in 38, 39, 40 games? The man's ridiculous. So obviously he's going to be starting and he's our captain. Cole Palmer, again, brilliant player. Chelsea's best player this season. He's, again, that bit of creativity we need. He's quite consistent as well. Again, will he start? I don't know. It's going to be tough not to start Cole Palmer. But obviously we've got other players who are more experienced. Bukayo Saka, one of the best wingers in the Premier League this season. I know he caught a bit of flack for some of his performances and the little limp he does, but he's still electric. Can cut in on the left, he's fast, good dribbler. Obviously, he can take penalties now. I know Kane will be our penalty taker, but if we get into a penalty shootout, Saka will have that confidence. Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins. Now, there was a bit of debate who was going to go out of these two, and you can make a case for both. Watkins more than Toney, because obviously Watkins was probably the best English player in the Prem this season. If he didn't score, he assisted and vice versa. Ivan Toney was a bit more of a wild card, I think, for me, because obviously he was banned for the first 6 to 8 months of the season, came back and exploded partially, and then he just sort of fell off, but Ivan Toney's still a quality forward. I mean, he can hold the ball up. He's Brentford's talisman. You could tell they were struggling without him. Because at least then, they offer something different as well. Ivan Toney's more of a sort of a target man, will hold the ball up, whereas Watkins will just run in behind, run the channels. So, it's a bit of a different player profile. Obviously, I think he will play Kane for the whole 90 minutes, but if Kane ever gets injured or want to take him off just to rest him maybe, Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins is more than capable of doing that job. Let's get on to the exclusions. There's been a lot of debate. I mean, the big ones, Maddison, I agree with it. You know, he hasn't performed well for England at all. Well, when I watch him, he looks like he struggles with international football. He doesn't perform like he did for Spurs in the early part of the season. And he's been injured a lot. So, you know, you can't really justify taking him. Because think about it, Foden does what he does, Palmer does what he does, Eze does what he does, and even Jude Bellingham can do what Maddison does. So I don't think it'll be a big miss, controversially. I like Maddison as a player, but I don't think he's going to be a big miss, especially with the talent we've got here. Jack Grealish, that was another big one. For me, I agree with it. I know what Grealish offers to the team. You know, he'll draw fouls, create chances, but he just hasn't done that. And I don't think he's been that good for City overall, to be honest. I don't think he's their sort of player. But you've got to respect what he brings to the team. But for me, Grealish was fair. Harry Maguire. Now, funnily enough, I don't agree with Maguire being dropped. I know he gets a lot of criticism, gets a lot of hate, but for England, he's fucking phenomenal. Obviously, he played at the last 2 World Cups and the last Euros. So, you know, he's got that big tournament experience. And I think it was a bit harsh for him to be left out. And I do think, personally, he should have gone over Lewis Dunk. And I don't think that's a controversial opinion. I just think he's leagues ahead of Dunk, which says a lot. But yeah, Maguire in an England shirt is just another player in general. Him and Stones are a good partnership. Yeah, it's a bit sad not to see Maguire go. I actually wanted Maguire to go, I'll be honest, over Dunk. I don't really rate dunk. But Jarell Quansah, it's fair enough. I don't think he's got a senior England cap. Done well for Liverpool, but he's a bit too young. I think maybe the next few tournaments he'll get in, and it'll be good to see how he develops. Curtis Jones, yeah, again, he does okay for Liverpool. He doesn't have any standout performances, and obviously he isn't going to offer what the previous players offer, like I've mentioned. Obviously Raheem Sterling's not in the team. I know he can still offer a bit, but Sterling just has been off the pace this season compared to what he's normally like. When he arrived at Chelsea, he was meant to be the main man, and Palmer's outshone him. Few players at Chelsea have outshone him, really, so I don't think he gets in the team, which is hard to admit because I like Sterling. Obviously, he's done well for England, but again, we've got players who can do what he does. I've mentioned them earlier, but Jordan Henderson and Calvin Phillips, I'm so glad I didn't see their names on the team sheet. They are not deserving of an England call-up. They have been shocking. I mean, I hope Calvin Phillips can recover form, because he played well in the last Euros when people didn't expect him to. He just needs the right manager to bring his confidence back, I think. And Henderson, I don't really rate him anyway, to be honest. He's just a bog standard, lower half Premier League midfielder. I think Loftus-Cheek should have gone. I've heard he's been playing really well for AC Milan, but Conor Gallagher got the pick anyway. Yeah, that's my opinion on the England squad. Obviously, loads of people are giving their opinions, and people have submitted their squads, and there's been a lot of debate online. But what do you think of the England squad? Has Southgate made the right choices? Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Southgate got it right, or has he got it wrong? Do you think it's coming home? Personally, I'd love to see it, but I don't think it will. But it'll be a good tournament anyway. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll catch you next one, guys. See you later.